So in this lecture I'll be talking on boundary conditions on a material interface. So in my last lecture I have already stressed upon the need and the requirement of boundary conditions, initial conditions in the Navier-Stokes equations, because if you want to solve those equations for a particular flow problem or a particular geometry and corresponding flow problem, then particular solutions will require boundary conditions on various flow variables. We had a discussion in the last lecture on the number of boundary conditions on different flow variables and initial conditions and things like that. So since those ideas are there, so it's rather necessary to now talk of what may be the type of boundary conditions that can be imposed on the various flow variables, and so we need to look at them in a very general way. So this lecture is on boundary conditions on a material interface. So my learning objectives for this lecture are I will talk about types of boundary conditions on two types of interfaces in general. One is a solid fluid interface. So it means that on one side of the interface we have a solid, and on the other side we have a fluid. Fluid may be a liquid or a gas. And similarly, a fluid material interface means that we have either two immiscible liquids on both sides of the interface, or you have a liquid and a vapor interface. Obviously there is no possibility of interface when we have both fluids as gases, because both the gases will freely intermix and there will be no interface. So there are only two types of material interfaces on which the boundary conditions need to be discussed and considered: solid fluid and a fluid. And of course for a fluid interface, both have to be either liquids, immiscible, or one of them has to be a liquid and the other can be a gas or a vapor. And the second learning objective is to understand the role of these boundary conditions. Of course, so once we are familiar with the boundary conditions, we'll take a look at this aspect. What is the role of the boundary conditions in influencing or generating fluid motion? So this would be interesting from the point of view of applications. Alright, so let's start the discussion on boundary conditions. So as shown in previous lecture, which was lecture number 12, the particular flow problem solutions using NS equations require appropriate number of boundary conditions on the various flow variables. This we have already seen. And in fact, that's why I've written in quotes, this is something to be remembered. The flow behavior of same fluid in different geometries. So for example, if I take water, water can be flowing in a pipe, it can be flowing in a channel, it can be flowing from a tap, let's say. So the flow behavior of the same fluid in different geometries and in different geometries is different. Why it is different? Because of different boundary and initial conditions. This is very obvious, because if the fluid is the same, then and we also know that Navier-Stokes equations are the same for Newtonian fluids, incompressible, homogeneous, constant property flows. There you have the same equations. So what makes one flow different from the other? It is the geometry and the associated boundary and initial conditions. This is what is important, or rather this is the crux of the importance of boundary conditions. They essentially dictate to a large extent the behavior of the fluid flow. Of course, along with the basic equations, the Navier-Stokes equations. Now we will categorize all types of conditions at a material boundary or interface, whether it's a solid fluid interface or a fluid fluid interface. They can be broadly classified as kinematic conditions or and dynamic conditions. So we will take a look at them one by one. Now kinematic conditions, let us consider them. You will soon understand why I am calling them as kinematic. You have a general kind of a surface which is shown here, and it separates two medium. One is on one side and medium 2 is on the other side. So it's a material interface. You can say that this curved line that I have drawn black color, this is the interface, okay, the material interface, or you can say a type of a physical boundary which separates two media 1 and media 2. Obviously one of them has to be a fluid to be relevant in the context of my present lecture. Okay, so you have to assume one of them is necessarily at least one of them is necessarily a fluid. The other may be a solid, or maybe another fluid, another liquid which is not mixing with the liquid on the other side. Right. Now to talk in terms of some geometrical parameters, I introduce the local. I consider my conditions at a certain local point P on this surface. Of course, this surface can be in 3 dimensions. So, since I don't have the luxury to easily depict that, so I have just taken it in 2 dimensions. But you can always visualize any kind of a surface in 3D, which separates 2 media. And so at any local point P, I have shown a normal direction and a tangential direction with the unit vectors n cap and t cap respectively along those directions. Now this interface and the local point, the point P that we are considering, it is a point P on the instantaneous interface between two continuous media. So why we say instantaneous interface? Because in general the interface may be dynamic one. Dynamic means it may be changing with time. So it may be moving, it may be deforming, it may be a fixed surface also. So in general, to keep the discussion general, we talk in terms of an instantaneous interface. Later on we can always see the impact of those special conditions, whether it's a moving or a fixed interface, or it's a deforming interface or whatever. So all those implications we can later on see. Okay. For the time being, you can think of the interface as an instantaneous interface. Now, the first condition that I write here is on local normal velocity. Okay, so it means velocity being a vector. So at point P, I can resolve the vector into some components, and for my convenience, I can talk in terms of normal and tangential components. Even if you are thinking in 2D, it was very easy to follow this idea that you can resolve the vector into a normal and a tangential component. And if you are extending this into a 3-dimensional surface, then again you can resolve a 3-dimensional vector into one normal component, and then in that case there will be 2 tangential components. Okay, we can take any 2 directions along the surface, 2 tangents, and then consider components along them. Anyway, so first we are talking in terms of a local normal velocity component. What is the condition that exists at the interface? So let's read it here. The local normal velocity is continuous across the interface. So I again stress upon this. Local normal velocity is continuous across the interface. Now this continuity or continuous word is has exactly the same meaning as we have learnt in theory of functions and calculus courses earlier, that when you say that a function is continuous, what does it mean? It means that the values of the function don't jump suddenly at any point. Okay, so when we say that the normal velocity is continuous across the interface at this point P, it means that if I were to move as an observer from medium 1 to medium 2 or from medium 2 to medium 1, and I move across the interface in the normal direction passing through P. Okay, so ये जो P point है, इससे पास होते हुए normally if I move from medium side 2 to medium 1, I will not experience any discontinuity or jump in the normal component of the velocity. So mathematically it means that the normal component of velocity can be written as velocity vector on side 1 dot n. N is the local unit normal vector as shown in the figure. It must be equal to Vi. Vi is the interface velocity. It means it is actually the velocity of the interface at point P. So Vi dot n, and this must be equal to the velocity, normal component of the velocity on the other side, which is side 2. So therefore it's a simple mathematical statement which is saying that the normal velocity on either side of the interface at the local point P is continuous, so it matches. Okay, the moment you and it matches, of course, in the neighborhood. It doesn't mean that if I move at a finite distance from the point P on either side, the velocity would be same. The statement that we are writing is for immediate neighborhood. Okay, which means that if I am at point P, then immediate neighborhood on the side 1 and immediate neighborhood on the side 2, the normal components would match. Okay, so this is what the meaning. And I have written this explicitly below, that Vi is the velocity at interface and V1 is the velocity in the neighborhood of the interface on medium 1 side. So when I say in the neighborhood of the interface, this is exactly in the sense of calculus and continuity that we already know. In the neighborhood of the interface on medium 1 side. And V2 is therefore the velocity in the neighborhood of the interface on medium 2 side. Now this is all fine, but what does it physically mean? Physically, the condition implies that the particles of media on either side do not cross the interface, because क्रॉसिंग के लिए ये ज़रूरी है कि नॉर्मल वेलोसिटीज़ इंटरफेस वेलोसिटी से डिफरेंट होनी चाहिए. So for example, if a particle of medium 1 has to come towards the medium 2 side crossing the interface, then definitely the value of the velocity v1 dot n cannot match with the velocity of the interface vi dot n, because if they are matching, then they are not moving relative to each other, right? So the idea is that the particles on either side of the interface are not moving with respect to the interface along the normal direction. So their normal components of velocity don't have any relative motion, okay, with respect to each other. So if the normal components are matching, it means that whatever is on medium side 1, the particles will remain on that side. Whatever is on the medium side 2, particles will remain on that side, and nothing crosses from 2 to 1 or 1 to 2. This is the physical meaning of this condition. And this condition is known as the no penetration condition. Okay. So the first condition on the normal velocity, whatever we have written, expressed and in language as well as in mathematical form, is what is known as the no penetration condition. Okay. So coming to the second condition, so since we have talked about the normal component of velocity, let's now talk of the tangential component. What happens to the local tangential component? Now the second point states that the local tangential component of velocity is also continuous across the interface. So it's basically identical to the first condition, but we have not taken them together. We are expressing the statements, though the statements look identical, but they are expressed independently for certain reasons which will soon unfold. So the names also of these conditions are different. When we say that local normal component of velocity is continuous across the interface, that condition is known as no penetration condition, and the local tangential component of velocity is continuous across the interface, we say this is the no slip condition. ये no slip जो है ये आपने in the earlier fluid mechanics course in the second year, there also you might have been told about the no slip condition, and I'll soon elaborate how different texts often incorrectly write this no slip condition. Okay, so as far as we are concerned, from this point onwards, as a student in fluid mechanics, we should clearly know what is no slip condition. Okay, it is the condition on local tangential component of velocity, whereas the no penetration condition is on the local normal component of velocity. Okay, now mathematically again we follow the same idea as we did with the normal component. So again you can say that v1 dot t cap is equal to vi dot t cap is equal to v2 dot t cap. Again v1, vi and v2 are the same velocities that we have defined earlier. Vi is the velocity at the interface, that is the point P, and v1 and v2 are immediate neighborhood velocities on medium 1 side and medium 2 side respectively. So I named this condition as B.2, whereas the no penetration condition expressed earlier was named as B.1. Right. Now I've written a note below. You can see that in three-dimensional scenarios, a surface or interface in general can be characterized by locally by one normal and two tangential directions, something which I mentioned earlier also. तो एक 3D में अगर आप एक सरफेस लेते हैं तो उसका एक नॉर्मल लिया जा सकता है, यूनिट नॉर्मल वेक्टर, और उसकी ज्योमेट्री जो है लोकली आप कैरेक्टराइज तीन डायरेक्शन से कर सकते हैं. दो टेंजेंशियल डायरेक्शन हो सकते हैं और वन नॉर्मल. ओके, 3D में. सो देयरफॉर व्हेन वी राइट आवर boundary conditions, the kinematic boundary conditions B.1 and B.2, B.1 will be written, we can write only one no penetration condition because there will be in general only one normal, whether you are talking of a two-dimensional scenario or a three-dimensional scenario. However, the no slip condition जो है B.2 जो है वो 2D में तो एक ही लिखी जाएगी because there will be only one tangential component. But in a three-dimensional scenario, you can in general write two no-slip conditions. So remember this, 3D scenario में one no penetration condition and two no-slip conditions, right? So once these conditions I have mentioned, and these are known as the kinematic conditions, so we will now look at what are some limitations of using. We have to be a little careful in using these conditions. What are the limitations? Let us try to understand. So first we will examine the no penetration condition, which is on the local normal component, and it is generally applicable to a solid fluid interface. Okay, fluid, as I mentioned, it could be a gas as well as a liquid. So no penetration condition is generally applicable to a solid fluid interface which is non-porous. यानी कि जो आपका सॉलिड है वो ऐसा होना चाहिए जो कि पोरस ना हो. पोरस समझते हैं ना, पोरस, व्हाट डू वी मीन बाय ए पोरस काइंड ऑफ अ सॉलिड? पोरस मीन्स दैट there are some cavities on the surface which are permitting the fluid to enter those cavities and move into the solid. So like a spongy material, for example, if you take a spongy material or some kind of a sponge and you pour some liquid over it, you will soon see that the liquid actually is gone. It is not on the surface. In fact, the spongy material absorbs it. So what has happened? Because of the pores on the surface, the liquid actually moves into it. So, which is basically violating the no penetration condition. Remember, no penetration condition, physically what it meant? No material crossing on either side. Okay, one remains on one side, medium, and the other side particles remain on their side only. So, agar solid porous hoga, तो obviously you can't use the no penetration condition. And if you have a solid fluid interface and solid is non-porous, तब आप इसे use कर सकते हैं freely. So that's why I've written no penetration condition is generally applicable to a solid fluid interface which is non-porous. Okay, non-porous situation में freely आप use कर सकते हैं. Now, why I have restricted myself to a solid fluid interface? Why I am saying that generally applicable to a solid fluid interface? Let us see what happens if you have a liquid-liquid or a liquid-gas interface. Now, this condition must be used with care. So, I am not saying that it cannot be used for a fluid-fluid interface, but it must be used with some care. Now, what is that care? Let us try to understand. So, if we have a liquid-liquid interface, it will only exist for immiscible pair of liquids. First thing, we make a note of this. So, it means that my two liquids are not are such that they are not physically mixing. So, it could be like, for example, if I take some tank and I fill it with water and then I pour some lighter oil over it, so which has a lesser density than water, so it will just float over water, and depending on the chemical nature of the oil, it may be such that it forms a sharp interface and there is no mixing of the oil with water. So for such interfaces which have liquid on both sides, no penetration can be used. Okay, so this is something important. अगर आपके पास immiscible pair of liquids हैं और वो एक इंटरफेस बना रहे हैं, आपको इंटरफेस क्लियरली दिखता है, तो फिर आप नो पेनिट्रेशन कंडीशन यूज कर सकते हैं फॉर दैट इंटरफेस. बट फॉर अ लिक्विड गैस इंटरफेस द नो पेनिट्रेशन कंडीशन कैन बी यूज्ड ओनली इफ द इवेपोरेशन इफेक्ट इज नेग्लिजिबल. तो ये इंपॉर्टेंट है क्योंकि जनरली व्हेन लिक्विड फॉर्म्स एन इंटरफेस विद अ वेपर और अ गैस, then normally liquid molecules at the surface, they have a tendency to gradually evaporate and go into the gaseous medium. So अगर ये evaporation चाहे कितना भी हल्के है या slow है, ये अगर चल रहा है, if this is going on, तो that means that medium on one side is actually particles of the medium on one side of the interface are actually moving across the interface and going to the other side. So which means again a violation of the no penetration condition. So it means that अगर evaporating surface है, कोई liquid gas का interface है, तो वहां पे no penetration condition cannot be used. Okay, and you can only use it provided the evaporation effect is negligible. So what I have actually written here is, since I am writing the limitations, I am writing it in the way that we can understand that under what conditions we use it. Okay, so we can use it for a liquid gaseous interface provided the evaporation effect is negligible. Right. Let us look at the limitation of the no slip condition. Now the no slip condition is quite generally applicable to any type of solid fluid or a fluid interface. So virtually there are no sort of limitations for you for applying the no slip condition. We will later on see an interesting aspect where viscosity will be in one way connected to the no slip condition, but as such the no slip condition has nothing to do with viscosity. This is one of the main confusions in the mind of many of our students, that many of the texts are incorrectly connecting the no slip condition to the rather stating that no slip condition is because of viscosity. Now I will later on show that viscosity और no slip condition में एक relation है, एक connection है, but it is not that the no slip condition is because of viscosity. Okay, that relation we will soon see what it is. But no slip condition अपने आप में एक condition है जो exist करती है, and it is applicable quite generally to any type of solid fluid or a fluid-fluid interface. So there are absolutely no restrictions like they were for the no penetration condition. So after understanding these or discussing these limitations, I would like to make an important remark, and this remark is again connected to sort of a incorrect manifestation or representation of these conditions in many of the texts which are available in the subject of fluid mechanics. So you have to be aware of this classical pitfall and understand this well, so that you don't fall into this trap. Okay, you know, I have always stressed prior to this discussion that no penetration and no slip conditions are two independent conditions. Okay, ये दो अलग अलग conditions हैं. However, ऐसा हो सकता है, and it's quite possible that the two conditions are both applicable to a solid fluid or a fluid-fluid interface. Okay, for example, you can have a solid fluid interface which is non-porous, so you can apply the no penetration condition, or no slip तो in general applicable होती ही है. We have already seen it is applicable to any kind of solid fluid or a fluid-fluid interface. So it means that if I have a non-porous solid fluid interface, then my equation B.1 and B.2 both apply. So let us see the B.1 equation. I have now removed the interface component of the interface velocity, and I have directly equated the normal component of velocities on either side of the local point P on the interface. So we can simply say that V1 dot n is equal to V2 dot n. Okay, because normally you don't you want to relate the medium velocities through the interface component of velocity. So directly you can relate the two, and similarly you can do it for the tangential component. Now if you look at the two red boxes, both are valid, okay, for a particular solid fluid interface. Both are applicable. So it means that the normal components, since normal as well as tangential components are equal on either side of the interface, whether I am talking in 2D or 3D, then we can obviously say, because a vector can have a normal and tangential components. Okay, so if all components are matching on either side, I can safely say that my vector velocity on medium side 1 in the neighborhood of the local point on the interface matches with the vector velocity on medium side 2 again on the immediate neighborhood of the medium side 2. Okay, so basically from where are we getting this relation V1 is equal to V2 for a material interface? We are getting this by combining B.1 with B.2. Okay, and B.1 was no penetration and B.2 was no slip. तो क्योंकि B.2 तो in generally applicable है, but there can be interfaces where B.1 cannot be applied. We have already discussed them in the limitations discussion that we had just prior to this discussion. So it means that only when both can be applied, we can say that vector V1 is equal to V2. And this is the mistake in many of the texts. Okay, in many texts, the last condition, which is combination of no penetration and no slip, is incorrectly mentioned as the no slip condition. Okay, तो आप देख रहे हैं ना कि क्या थोड़ा सा you can say description में error है. वो error ये है कि V1 is equal to V2 is a combination of no slip and no penetration, and therefore you can't say that this condition is a no slip condition. So कोई भी text अगर ऐसा बोलता है आपको, तो वो क्या कर रहा है कि वो दोनों कंडीशंस को कंबाइन करके उस इंटरफेस के लिए, जिस इंटरफेस में वो कंबाइन की जा सकती हैं, if you have an interface where both conditions are applicable, then you may combine and say that vector velocity v1 is equal to v2, but वो दो अपनी अलग अलग conditions हैं, वो तो मर्ज नहीं, वो तो उनका सिंगल नेम नहीं हो सकता ना, वो तो दो अलग अलग ही कंडीशन है, आपने मैथमेटिकली उनको मर्ज कर लिया है, एंड दैट्स व्हाई यू आर सेइंग v1 is equal to v2. So that is the point that I am trying to make. So don't say that v1 is equal to v2 on either side of the interface, the immediate neighborhood side है to any point on the interface. If they match, don't say that this is the no slip condition. This is the combined condition of no penetration and no slip. Okay. Now, these kinematic conditions B.1, B.2 are valid in the continuum regime. This is important. This is to be kept in mind. That what is the validity condition? What is, under what conditions these conditions are valid? Okay. Applicability, I have already talked about the no penetration condition in detail, that where you can apply and where it cannot be applied. लेकिन जहां पे ये अप्लाई कर सकते हैं, फॉर एग्जाम्पल नो स्लिप तो हर जगह अप्लाई कर सकते हैं, टेंजेंशियल कंपोनेंट पे जो कंडीशन है, कैसा भी इंटरफेस हो, तो ये कंडीशन जब तक वैलिड है, जब तक आपके मीडिया जो है वो कंटिन्यूम की तरह ट्रीट किए जा सकते हैं. इफ द मीडिया ऑन आइदर साइड कैन बी ट्रीटेड एज are in the continuum regime, you can treat them as continuum, then you can safely say that these conditions are valid. Okay, so that's what I've written. The media on the on either side of the interface, चाहे वो solid fluid हो या fluid हो, can be treated as a continuum. So this you must remember. So again, as I've told you, actually there is no mention of viscosity anywhere. ये इनकी ना तो वैलिडिटी विस्कोसिटी पे डिपेंड कर रही है, ना ही कोई विस्कोसिटी का कोई एग्जिस्टेंस की बात हुई है, सिर्फ कॉन्टिन्यूम रेजिम की बात हुई है. ओके, राइट. सो let's move complete this. So with this remark I complete my discussion on kinematic conditions. So I move on to now the dynamic conditions. Now you must be able to appreciate why I was calling these conditions as kinematic, because these conditions impose certain restrictions on velocity, fluid velocities or medium velocities. Okay, so they are not imposing any restriction on any kind of forces or stresses or anything like that. Okay, so they are only posing some restrictions on the velocities. So that is why they are known as kinematic conditions. Now we have some dynamic conditions also, and these conditions I am going to just state because it is outside the scope of my present course to actually go ahead and derive these conditions, though these conditions are very much derivable under the assumption of continuum regimes. But I am not going to derive because that is outside the scope of the current course. We should just be stating them and knowing them, okay, and understanding them. What are these dynamic conditions? So again we have what I have written here. We can just go through it quickly. The dynamic conditions are relations between stress vector components. So I am not saying stress tensor. Why? Because I have already made it very clear that if I am considering a point which is located on a well-defined area in the continuum, so since the area is fixed, so the stress behaves as a vector on at such a point. अगर आपका point किसी well-defined area पे है जिसका orientation वगैरह fixed है, तो फिर stress के तीन ही component होते हैं on that at that point, and one normal and two tangential. So that's why I am calling it as stress vector and not stress tensor. जब आप कोई एरिया का नोशन हटा देते हैं और जनरली एक पॉइंट की बात करने लगते हैं कि what is the state of stress at a point in the fluid, then I have to consider 3 coordinate planes and talk of the 9 components, and basically stress becomes a tensor. So this is the main difference. So the dynamic conditions are relations between stress vector components in the neighborhood of a point lying on the solid fluid or a fluid interface on either side of the interface. So these are conditions on the stress vector components. Okay, so that's why they are known as dynamic conditions. Now again, you consider a general interface, of course, in the instantaneous sense, and you consider a point, local point P, and of course this time the P is surrounded by a small surface area element which is shown as a hatched kind of a entity, and local normal of this small area element at P. And in this case it's important to differentiate between it's important to choose the media 1 and 2 in such a way, as you will soon see, that there is a concave side and there is a convex side of this general curved interface. So the convex side I have deliberately named as medium 2, and the concave side I have deliberately named as medium 1. We will understand why it is so as soon as we start taking a look at the conditions. So concave side, remember, concave side is 1 and medium, and the convex side is medium 2. Okay. Now to correctly write these dynamic conditions, since they are on the stress vector component, so we need to first clearly show the one normal and two tangential unit vectors. So that area that was shown as hatched is now shown as a larger, there's a larger view, enlarged view of that area with the point P residing on that area element, and there is a unit normal on that, and there are two tangential vectors lying on the surface, lying within the surface, S1 hat and S2 hat. So these are any two mutually orthogonal for our convenience, so that we have a orthogonal system of unit vectors on which we are discussing the things. So mutually orthogonal tangential unit vectors at point P on the elemental surface area, say ds. Okay, at this moment I am just using some notional value, small, just to make you understand that it's a very small, tiny, infinitesimal area element. So ds is the magnitude of the area. The dynamic conditions can be expressed as, now there is a difference. Okay, kinematic conditions में हमने solid fluid या fluid ऐसे differentiate नहीं किया था. We were just talking in terms of no penetration, या तो local normal component की बात कर रहे थे या local tangential की, no slip. But here the conditions are slightly different if you have a solid fluid surface than in the case of a fluid interface. तो दोनों interfaces segregate किए गए, अलग अलग बताए गए. So let's look at the solid fluid surface first. So if we have a solid fluid surface, then all these stress vector components, तो stress vector के तीन components हैं, sigma nn is the normal component, sigma ns1 and sigma ns2, they are the other two tangential components or the shear components. So all these three components on side 1, they are equal to the three components on medium side 2. So it means that at any point P, if I were to look at the immediate neighborhood of point P on side 1, medium side 1, and the immediate neighborhood on medium side 2, I will find that the three stress components, one normal and two shear, they will be same, or you can say that all local stress vector components are continuous across the surface. Again वही बात है, मैंने यहाँ पे मैथमेटिकली पहले लिख दिया है, लैंग्वेज में बाद में लिखा है, बट बेसिक मीनिंग यही है कि all stress vector components, all local stress vector components are continuous across the surface. Okay, so solid fluid interface में ये important है, याद रखना कि हमारे जैसे कि हमने वहाँ देखा था कि नॉर्मल वेलोसिटी वाज कंटिन्यूअस अगर नो पेनिट्रेशन कंडीशन एप्लीकेबल है, और अगर नो स्लिप तो एप्लीकेबल होती ही है, तो टेंजेंशियल वेलोसिटी इज कंटिन्यूअस. सो और ऐसे ही कंटिन्यूइंग फर्दर डायनेमिक कंडीशंस ये हैं कि all local stress vector components are continuous across the surface. Solid fluid, for a solid fluid surface. Now coming to a fluid surface, in this case we see that the normal stress sigma nn1 and the normal stress sigma nn on the other side, which is the convex side. Okay, so that's why the concave and convex sides are important now, because we are now going to experience some discontinuities in the local stress vector components. So the jumps have to be represented with the correct sign. So that's why medium side 1 must be taken accordingly. So we will always find that the concave side values are actually different from the convex side values, and they are related by these relations. So let's look at the normal stress jumps or discontinuities, you can say. So sigma nn1 minus sigma nn2. So this says that the difference on immediate neighborhood of point P on medium side 1 and medium side 2, the difference sigma nn1 minus sigma nn2 is because of two things. One is the surface tension. So because fluid interface mein surface tension is important, so surface tension multiplied by the local radii of curvature and the sum of them, 1 over r1 plus 1 over r2. Now you know that a general agar 2D में कोई interface लेंगे तो there will be only one radii of curvature, local radii of curvature. But if you are taking a general interface in 3D, then a three-dimensional surface is always characterized by two principal radii of curvature at a certain point. So 1 over r1 plus 1 over r2 are the two principal radii of curvature at the point P on the surface. So it means that curvature effects and surface tension, they both combine to give you discontinuities in the normal stress vector components on either side of the fluid interface. And what happens to the shear components? Okay, let's look at them also. So like the normal stress vector components, the shear stress sigma ns1 on side 1 and medium side 1 and sigma ns1 on medium side 2, it also is not the difference is not zero. Okay, so there is again a discontinuity in the shear stress vector component, shear stress vector component. So the jump is sigma ns1 on medium side 1, which means it is the concave side, minus sigma ns1, the convex side, which is 2, is equal to minus of the partial derivative of surface tension with respect to the tangential direction s1. So the same way we can write for the other tangential direction s2, which is written in red, this condition. So it shows that why these jumps are now taking place, why these discontinuities are there. It is the normal stress vector component is discontinuous because of surface tension and the curvature. Okay, and the shear, the local shear stress vector components, they are experiencing some discontinuities because of the variation of the surface tension along the direction of the shear. So it means that if there is some variation in the surface tension along the direction of the shear, then and only then the shear stresses would be discontinuous. And if suppose the surface tension is just not varying, it is constant along the shear direction, then there won't be any jump in the shear stresses along that direction. So this is important. So in general, अगर आप बात करें तो all local stress vector components are discontinuous across the surface. So this is quite different from the solid fluid interface dynamic condition, है ना, quite opposite है in fact. Fluid surface की या fluid interface की जो dynamic conditions हैं, they are saying that in general all local stress vector components are discontinuous across a fluid interface, but for a solid fluid interface all local stress vector components are continuous. across the surface. Now there can be special cases as far as fluid-fluid interfaces are concerned. For example, I have written on the right, for a planar fluid-fluid interface, if it's a planar surface fluid-fluid interface, then even if the surface tension is present and cannot be neglected, but R1, R2, they both are infinite, okay, because it's a planar surface. So the radii of curvature are infinite. So in that case, you can see that the right hand side of the dynamic condition becomes 0, and therefore sigma nn1 is equal to sigma nn2, or the normal stresses become continuous. तो अगर कर्वेचर आपका नहीं है फ्लूइड फ्लूइड इंटरफेस में, तब नॉर्मल स्ट्रेसेस विल बिकम कंटिन्यूअस. ओके, नॉर्मल स्ट्रेसेस, नॉर्मल कंपोनेंट्स रादर ऑफ द स्ट्रेस वेक्टर. तो नॉर्मल कंपोनेंट ऑफ द stress vector, they will become continuous. Now and the same story is also there if the surface tension is negligible or does not vary along the interface. तो अगर surface tension negligible ही हो जाए, यानी S जो है वो अपने आप में बहुत ही small है and can be neglected. So अगर ऐसा है तब फिर उसका variation वगैरह भी neglect ही हो जाएगा. So if surface tension is negligible, then we can say that the shear components are also continuous. Okay, the shear local stress vector components. Okay, so all of them become continuous if the surface tension is negligible. That is very obvious. और अगर planar surface है तो it becomes the normal stresses are only continuous. Shear may be discontinuous because the surface tension can still vary on a planar surface. सो ये सारे जो पॉसिबिलिटीज हैं ये सब रेडिली आप लिख सकते हैं, प्रोवाइडेड यू नो द जनरल डायनामिक कंडीशंस फॉर अ फ्लूइड फ्लूइड इंटरफेस. ओके, राइट. नाउ वी विल लाइक टू समराइज व्हाट वी हैव लर्नड इन टुडेज लेक्चर नंबर 13 you can say. So the presence of a physical interface of a fluid with a solid or another fluid is communicated through the kinematic and dynamic boundary conditions. Definitely this is the first point that we have learned कि अगर एक interface है of a fluid with another fluid या with solid, तो इसका जो presence है वो fluid को feel कैसे होता है? It is felt by communication of these kinematic and dynamic boundary conditions. यानी ये जो kinematic और dynamic boundary conditions है ये कुछ constraints impose करती हैं on the fluid velocities as well as the local stress vector components. तो वो जो local stress vector components और velocity पे जो constraints impose हो रही हैं उसी की वजह से ये communicate हो रहा है fluid को. Okay. The second point is the fluid motion is influenced by these boundary conditions. Of course, the fluid motion would be influenced by these boundary conditions because we have already shown that these boundary conditions are required by the governing equations, the Navier-Stokes equations, for a particular solution. So therefore, these boundary conditions would definitely influence the fluid motion or will make their presence felt in the governing equations. Okay, which in turn of course basically give rise to the solution or the fluid motion solution that we get from those equations. The third point is for a rigid, so now I talk of a very specific case which is actually quite commonly encountered in many engineering applications. So for a rigid solid fluid interface, so rigid solid fluid interface का मतलब ये है कि आपका जो solid fluid interface है, on one side there is a fluid, the other side there is a solid. So if the solid is rigid, okay, it is its deformation is so small that you can neglect it. Okay, so if the solid can be regarded as rigid, then of course the interface would be rigid. Okay, it will not be deforming. Okay, so if it is not deforming, if it can only move as a rigid body, then in that case अगर ऐसा है कि आपका इंटरफेस में जो सॉलिड इन्वॉल्व है वो रिजिड है, सो द इंटरफेस विल आइदर move as a whole, okay, like a rigid body, but not deform. So in that case we require only the kinematic boundary conditions. Only the kinematic boundary conditions are relevant. So ये बहुत important है, हमारे course के point of view से भी बहुत important है, because in our course we will most of the time, in fact more than 90% of the time we'll be dealing with a solid fluid interface where I can treat the solid as rigid. Okay, so दो आपको theory जो है वो दो I have told you a very general kind of a theory for handling any type of interface. आपको इंटरफेस की कंडीशंस के बारे में जो डिस्कशन हुआ है हमारा वो बिल्कुल जनरल था, बट हमारे कोर्स का जो ज़्यादा जो फोकस है वो एक रिजिड सॉलिड फ्लूइड इंटरफेस पे ही रहेगा. ऑल्दो हमारी ट्यूटोरियल शीट्स में देर आर some problems involving fluid interfaces also, just to test your understanding of how you can apply boundary conditions on a fluid interface. तो उसके टेस्ट के लिए हमने problems deliberately include करी हैं, but most of the time you will find that 90% of the stuff that we will deal with and problems and applications or whatever will have a rigid solid fluid interface. तो हमारे लिए kinematic boundary conditions सबसे ज़्यादा important है, और इस तरह के इंटरफेस के लिए इनफैक्ट दीज आर द ओनली रेलेवेंट बाउंड्री कंडीशंस. हमें डायनामिक बाउंड्री कंडीशंस की देयर इज नो रिक्वायरमेंट फॉर अ रिजिड सॉलिड फ्लूइड इंटरफेस. वी विल ओनली नीड काइनेमैटिक बाउंड्री कंडीशंस. ओके, द लास्ट पॉइंट नाउ which I find is important to understand what is the role played by these types of kinematic boundary conditions that we have learnt as far as generation of fluid motion is concerned. So have you ever wondered, I mean there are many ways in which you can set up the fluid motion. Okay, fluid को move करने के लिए we have to impart the energy or the motion in some way, right? So to make it start from rest. So one way is of course to, by the definition of the fluid, that you apply the smallest of shear stress and begins to flow and starts to deform. तो दो तो है ही है, but that's not the only way in causing which is possible. That's not the only possible way of causing fluid motion. So let's try to now see the role of these kinematic boundary conditions, what role they play in generation of fluid motion. So let's look at some examples that I have for you, and these examples are quite instructive in illustrating the differences in the roles of the two types of kinematic boundary conditions that we have learnt. So look at the examples below. So on the left I have shown let's say we have a piston cylinder arrangement which is very familiar with mechanical engineering students. So and there is a fluid which could be a liquid or a gas which is confined in between the piston and the cylinder. So now pay attention to the moving interface, which is the piston face, where these red dots I have shown. Now what are these red dots representing? Well, there are infinite or particles residing on the piston face. तो कोई finite number तो नहीं है, but just for graphical illustration purposes I have shown some fluid particles out of those infinite set. Okay, so continuum के point of view से तो there are infinite points on that piston face, so there are infinite fluid particles. So but just to understand the point that I am trying to make, you can just focus on some of them. So just to do that I have put some red dots there. Now these are the particles which are residing immediately on the one side of the piston face. So piston face is the solid fluid boundary that you have to now focus upon, and while on one side there is fluid, the other side you have the solid material of the piston itself. Now let's say for the sake of argument, although ये एक 3-dimensional ही scenario है, because cylinder pistons are not 2-dimensional, but थोड़ी देर के लिए let's say we can just talk in terms of, जैसे पेपर पे बना हुआ है system, we can just argue by considering it as a 2-dimensional system or a scenario. तो x y मैंने deliberately दो frame अपना reference दिखा दिया है कि ये मेरा x direction है और ये मेरा y direction है, right? Now let's now see what is written below the fluid particles. Okay, फ्लूइड पार्टिकल्स के नीचे मैंने ये लिखा हुआ है कि स्मॉल u velocity which is actually the fluid side velocity or the velocity of these particles. Now this u, notice that u is the x direction and x is normal to the interface. तो इसका मतलब मुझे नो पेनिट्रेशन कंडीशन को यूज करना है. अगर मुझे x डायरेक्शन की वेलोसिटीज के ऊपर कंडीशंस को लिखना है तो मुझे नो पेनिट्रेशन को यूज करना है. तो नो पेनिट्रेशन सेज दैट द नॉर्मल कंपोनेंट्स मस्ट बी कंटिन्यूअस अक्रॉस द पिस्टन फेस. तो पिस्टन फेस की अपनी वेलोसिटी कैपिटल U है जो कि पिस्टन की इंस्टेंटेनियस स्पीड है. और नॉट ओनली इट इज द वेलोसिटी ऑफ द इंटरफेस, इट इज क्योंकि आप एक रिजिड मान सकते हैं पिस्टन को, तो जो दूसरी साइड जो सॉलिड मटेरियल है उसकी भी वेलोसिटी इमीडिएट नेबरहुड में कैपिटल U ही है. So what does no penetration condition say? That the normal velocity must be continuous, right? In the instantaneous sense. So continuous means ये जो red dots हैं इनको भी वही normal velocity मिलनी चाहिए जो कि interface की है. So it means that U is equal to capital U. And if I apply the no slip condition, no slip means I am talking of the tangential direction to the piston face, which in my case is the y direction. So y direction की जो velocity है fluid particles की वो भी continuous होनी चाहिए across the interface. And since the interface does not have any velocity in the y direction, neither the solid on the other side has any velocity in the y direction. So that's why V is 0. V means the tangential component of velocity of the fluid particles is 0. So ये जो small u is equal to capital U and V is equal to 0 जो है ये actually आपकी no penetration और no slip conditions है. Now what does these conditions indicate? What it says that जैसे ही आप पिस्टन को मूव करेंगे इंस्टेंटेनियस वेलोसिटी उसकी अगर u आ गई तो आपके जो रेड पार्टिकल्स हैं जो डायरेक्टली कांटेक्ट में है पिस्टन फेस के, दे विल आल्सो गेट द सेम वेलोसिटी. स्मॉल u is equal to capital U. And the no slip condition says that since the surface doesn't have any velocity in the tangential direction, the fluid particles will also not get any tangential velocity to the interface, right? So what it means now, since once these particles get a particular velocity normal to the interface, now this movement will then be communicated. ये जो momentum आया है particles में interface से जो connected हैं particles, this momentum will be transferred to other neighboring fluid particles, and this transfer will take place by pressure initially. इनिशियली प्रेशर जो है वो चेंज हो जाएगा इसी नेबरहुड में इंटरफेस के, और फिर ये प्रेशर से ये प्रेशर ग्रेडियंट जो बनेगा, तो आप जानते हैं प्रेशर ग्रेडियंट गिव्स राइज टू अ फोर्स. तो फिर बाकी जो फ्लूइड पार्टिकल्स हैं दे विल आल्सो स्टार्ट टू मूव अलोंग द एक्स डायरेक्शन, एंड देन once the motion starts within the fluid, then you will have velocity gradients and viscous effects and other thing coming into picture. So initially the motion is transferred from the piston to the interface fluid particles by the no penetration condition, and later on it is transferred to the subsequent or other fluid particles in the fluid by pressure initially, with viscosity and viscous forces playing a role much later on. So you can say that the fluid motion is initiated or caused by no penetration condition. This is important. Why? Because no slip का तो कोई रोल ही नहीं है. No slip तो स्टेटमेंट यह है कि V is equal to 0. That means there is no velocity imparted to the particles along y direction because the surface was not moving tangential in the tangential direction. So ये जो एग्जाम्पल है ये दिखाता है कि आप no penetration condition alone can cause fluid motion. Now coming to the second example, now I can move faster because now you can follow the arguments and logic very easily. Now I have taken a surface in a horizontal manner, and there are again fluid particles sitting on it, and now I impart again u velocity, which is again in the x direction, to this surface, but this time this u velocity, notice that it is the tangential component of velocity at the surface. So in this case quickly you can understand that the fluid particles which are shown in red, they will have the following components of velocity. again the x direction velocity of the fluid particles will be capital U, but this time this is not due to the no penetration, this is due to the no slip condition. तो इस केस में जो स्मॉल u इज इक्वल टू कैपिटल U लिखा हुआ है, ये एक्चुअली नो पेनिट्रेशन नहीं है, नो स्लिप है, बिकॉज ऑफ द डायरेक्शन ऑफ द वेलोसिटीज इन्वॉल्व इन दिस स्टेटमेंट. द डायरेक्शन इज टेंजेंशियल टू द इंटरफेस. And obviously in this case I don't have to argue at length. The normal component of velocity, since the surface doesn't have any normal component of velocity, so the particles indicated in red will also not get any normal component and v will 0. So v0 वाली condition अब जो है वो actually एक no penetration condition है. Okay. Now in this case you will again the momentum which is imparted by the no slip condition to the interface particles, fluid particles, that will gradually be transferred to the other interior fluid particles, and this momentum transfer I have shown with the arrow here, that this momentum transfer will be by viscosity initially, because actually whenever the transfer is in a direction normal to the motion of the particles, अगर particles का motion एक डायरेक्शन में है एंड यू आर टॉकिंग ऑफ ट्रांसफर ऑफ द मोमेंटम नॉर्मल टू इट, तो नॉर्मल ट्रांसफर जो है मोमेंटम का वो विस्कोसिटी से ही होता है, शियर से ही हो सकता है. ओके, एंड शियर इज द ऑब्वियस शियर स्ट्रेसेस बिटवीन फ्लूइड पार्टिकल्स आर द ऑब्वियस साइंस ऑफ विस्कोसिटी. ओके, सो ये जो सेकंड एग्जांपल है ये बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग है और ये डिफरेंट है फ्रॉम फर्स्ट से, इस सेंस में कि मोशन इज इनिशिएटेड बाय द नो स्लिप कंडीशन, एंड आफ्टर दिस इनिशिएशन द मोशन इज कैरीड इनटू द अदर फ्लूइड पार्टिकल्स बाय विस्कोसिटी initially, whereas for the example on the left the motion was initiated by no slip, initially transferred by pressure to the other interior fluid particles, and viscosity and viscous forces coming into picture much later. Okay, so the two examples are a good indicator of how the two conditions, the no penetration and no slip conditions, play a typical role in generation of fluid motion. Right, now to conclude with an important note, let's read it off. The no slip condition transfers fluid motion to interior fluid particles by viscous effects, so I have already mentioned that with the discussion on the second example, and you must make a note of this. So what does it mean? No slip condition जब भी motion को initiate करेगी तो उसमें viscosity का भी रोल इंक्लूड होना जरूरी हो जाता है, बिकॉज नो स्लिप तो सिर्फ इंटरफेस पार्टिकल्स को मोशन इंपार्ट कर देगी. व्हाट अबाउट द मोशन बीइंग ट्रांसफर्ड टू द अदर इंटीरियर फ्लूइड पार्टिकल्स, दैट विल देन गो बाय द विस्कस इफेक्ट्स. ओके, सो नो स्लिप कंडीशन इज एबल टू इन्फ्लुएंस द फ्लूइड मोशन. इसका जो कंक्लूजन निकला है वो रेड में लिखा हुआ है. The no slip condition is able to influence the fluid motion only through viscosity. This is important. अगर no slip condition होने के साथ साथ अगर हम किसी वजह से viscosity को neglect कर रहे हैं, यानी हम एक इनविसिड फ्लो एनालिसिस कर रहे हैं या मॉडल यूज कर रहे हैं फ्लोज के लिए, जैसा कि आपने सेकेंड ईयर के या अर्लियर कोर्सेज में एक इनविसिड फ्लो एनालिसिस, पोटेंशियल फ्लो थियोरी और ये सब आपने पढ़ा था. तो अगर आप इनविसिड फ्लो एनालिसिस करने जा रहे हैं और आप ये सोचते हैं कि मेरा नो स्लिप कंडीशन विल बी एबल टू ट्रांसफर मोमेंटम और इन्फ्लुएंस द फ्लूइड मोशन, तो ये सोचना दिस इज कॉन्सेप्चुअली इनकरेक्ट और रॉन्ग, because we have already seen that the no slip condition though will be able to impart motion to interface fluid particles को तो always motion impart हो जाएगा because of the no slip condition, but to transfer this interface particles momentum to the interior zone of the fluid or to the other fluid particles which lie in the interior, तो ये जो सरफेस पार्टिकल्स से इंटीरियर पार्टिकल्स पे मोशन का जो ट्रांसफर है या मोमेंटम ट्रांसफर है, दैट कैन ओनली बी टेकिंग प्लेस थ्रू विस्कोसिटी. सो इट मींस दैट इफ आई एम डूइंग अ इनविसिड फ्लो एनालिसिस और आई एम यूजिंग एन इनविसिड फ्लो मॉडल to analyze or to describe my fluid flow, then my no slip condition becomes irrelevant or it is not relevant at all. Relevant क्यों नहीं है? Because वो इन्फ्लुएंस ही नहीं कर सकती, उसका जो कम्युनिकेशन का जो वाइटल एजेंट है विस्कोसिटी, वो दैट हैज बीन रिमूव्ड. सो देयरफॉर उसका जो नो स्लिप कंडीशन का जो इन्फ्लुएंस है या जो उसका इफेक्ट है ऑन द फ्लूइड मोशन, वो नहीं आएगा, वो खत्म हो जाएगा. सो देयरफॉर इट डजंट बिकम इट डजंट हैव एनी रेलेवेंस. फिर आप उस कंडीशन को नेवियर-स्टोक्स में या किसी भी गवर्निंग इक्वेशन में इनविसिड फ्लो के जो भी आप इक्वेशंस ले रहे हैं, ऑयलर इक्वेशंस यू कैन से, तो ऑयलर इक्वेशंस में नो स्लिप कंडीशन का कोई यूज नहीं हो सकता, बिकॉज it is conceptually, not consistent, the idea of using no slip condition with an inviscid flow model, because inviscid flow model doesn't get influenced by an inviscid flow doesn't get influenced by the no slip condition. So I would like to end this lecture with this last remark, and my advice is that ये जो boundary conditions वाला जो lecture है, lecture number 13, it is a bit more conceptual than what it appears, तो थोड़ा सा deceptively simple लगता है देखने में, but I would request more attention from your side when going through this lecture. Maybe you can go through it more than once and hear my comments and remarks as I go through this lecture very carefully, and also ponder upon these points very carefully. Okay, ये जो kinematic और dynamic की सब conditions जो हैं, ये बहुत ही important है to understand specific flow behavior observed in different kinds of flow systems that we encounter in engineering and technology. Okay, so thank you very much, and that's it for this lecture number 13.